running this shit like an ice cream truck.
And we're on.
And we're sucking.
We're
cock
on.
And eating pussies like animals. Right.
Something tells me we're talking about Trump on this one, too.
No.
Are we saving that?
Grab her by the real estate. Hello, everybody. My name's Andrew Steiner, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Josh Kincade and Andrew Harms.
How's it going?
Good. It's going good. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about money. But before we get to that, I just want to say, if you want to hear more episodes per week, another episode, go on patreon.com/weirdball and donate $1 a month, and you get more episodes. Okay, after that disgusting plug.
Donate $1 of money so you can hear this podcast about money.
Exactly, it's on topic.
It's a cycle. The whole world runs on money.
Mm-hmm.
Whole world runs on money.
Say what you want about money. It pays the bills, you know?
Say what you say what you want on money, but it tastes disgusting.
I've eaten nickels before.
You've eaten them? Like swallowed them?
As a kid, yeah. You never done that?
No.
You ever swallowed change when you're little?
No, dude.
It teaches you about finances. And
count your shit.
yeah, you're literally shitting money out. And you're like, wait, I don't pick it up because like, it's inside of a turd, but you're like, that's pretty cool.
Did your investment mature?
It dissolved a little bit, I'm sure. I don't know if it matured. Actually, no, it probably wasn't even affected. It's probably just like, stomach acid. I'm straight up fucking iron or whatever it's made out of.
Yeah, do you poop directly into a piggy bank?
I should have. So I went into the bank, like, it's like 5% money and 95% turds. Like, here you go, you sift through that.
Here, roll this up.
Put this in a savings account. Not the shit, but the actual money.
Why is there feces all over the Coinstar machine?
If people go to use it, it just smells like crap.
So anyway, money. There's a long history of money. Okay, initially they started using like barley, which.
What do you mean initially? Like the first people?
Yeah, well, at least the first proof of money was barley, and that was
like wheat, like food.
Yeah, because it had inherent value. So they were like, okay, well, this is obviously valuable. We can trade this and use this as a base for our economy because someone's always going to need this at some point. But the problem with barley was that it was not easy to transport, and it sometimes rotted. So
yeah, as I say, it probably goes bad. How far back are we talking here? The barley
3000 BC.
Damn.
If you want to be politically correct.
And where was this?
Stone Age. No, it's Bronze Age.
Babylonia, I think, or Sumeria.
Sumer.
Yeah. In Sumer, men got paid 60 liters of barley a month, I think, and women only got half.
Was the intention for them to buy things with it or to eat it or both?
I think both. Yeah.
Can you eat? What is barley? I'm not. This is an ignorant question, but
it's almost like fat rice.
Really, I'm picturing like stalks of wheat.
I mean, yeah, but once you get separate the chaff from the
fat rice, that sounds pretty good actually.
It's all right. It's kind of got a weird, nasty aftertaste. But I like
Fatty
barley.
rice.
Barley tea is nice. And then so they would pay men. I messed this up. But they'd pay like 4 men like 50 times as much as normal people. Okay, that has nothing to do with anything.
4 men.
Okay. Oh yeah, I want to read a quote about money. Okay. Here we go, baby. This is from Yuval Noah Harari's book. He's got like a short book on money. This guy's fucking genius. If you get the chance to read his shit. Okay, so money is based on 2 universal principles. Okay, universal convertibility. With money.
You're trying to keep the accent. You're like, I can't say this word.
With money as an accent, alchemist, you can turn land into loyalty, justice into health, and violence into knowledge. Knowledge, you gonna get some knowledge?
Thank you, JFK.
I don't know. And then universal trust, okay? With money as a go-between, any 2 people can cooperate on a fucking project, okay?
So I'm seeing, trust is in like me and you both accept this is what this is worth. Is that trust?
I know the
I
convertibility.
feel like that's kind of the same.
The trust is like we're gonna all agree that this is worth something,
Okay, it's like the faith in the dollar, basically.
and whatever backs that dollar.
Yeah.
the society that backs it.
Which
And then
nothing backs the U.S. dollar. It's a conspiracy.
in the convertibility, you're turning to a fucking alchemist, man. You're turning lead into gold, literally, by putting faith in the lead.
Translating the money into something you want, basically. Is that the alchemy?
Yeah, we're all
referring to?
agreeing it, and that it's you can transmute it into anything else from there.
Violence into knowledge. I like that.
Yeah,
That's very true.
So check it out. These principles have enabled millions of strangers to cooperate effectively in trade and industry. But these seemingly benign principles have a dark side. When everything is convertible and when trust depends on anonymous coins and cowrie shells, it corrodes local traditions, intimate relations, and human values. Replacing them with the cold
Laws of supply and demand.
Like Truman Capote.
Human communities and families have always been based on belief in principles, things such as honor, loyalty, morality, and love. These things lie outside the domain of the market, and they shouldn't be bought or sold for money, even if the market offers a good price. Certain things just aren't done. Parents mustn't sell their children into slavery. Whoa. well, where'd that come from? Don't tell me how to raise my child, Mr. Money Guy. Just tell me what money is and then move on. Don't tell me how to raise my kids, goddammit. A devout Christian must not commit a mortal sin. A loyal knight must never betray his lord, and ancestral tribal lands should never be sold to foreigners. Money has... Is this whole podcast just going to be us reading this shit?
We read like a book.
plagiarism.
I was going to say. We're not referencing anything. We're just...
Yo, money has always tried to break
Reading
through
of him.
these barriers like water seeping through the cracks in the dam. Parents have been reduced to sell some of their children into slavery in order to buy food for others. Devout Christians murdered, stole, cheated, and later used the spoils to buy forgiveness from the church.
Truth.
Ambitious knights auctions their allegiance to the highest bidder. Was securing the loyalty of their own followers by cash payments, tribal lands sold to foreigners from the other side of the world in order to purchase an entry ticket into global economies. Money is even darker side, for although money builds universal trust between strangers.
This trust is invested not in humans, communities, or sacred values, but in money itself and in the impersonal systems that back it. We do not trust a stranger or the next door neighbor. We trust the coin they hold.
Ooh. Yeah.
I don't know that fucking guy, but I trust that his nickel.
I trust
is my
George
nickel.
Washington, goddammit.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I never even met that guy, but he never lied. I trust the fuck out of him. If they run out of coins, we run out of trust.
I like money.
I want more of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But do you like it as an idea?
Yeah, there's something about holding cash, like a good amount of cash in your hand. There's no other, you know what I'm talking about? You ever have you have a nice wad of cash and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, it's definitely less satisfying to like have a bank transfer.
Yeah, that's the thing is, what is it like? Something, I mean, maybe this is referenced in the podcast, but like something like 90% of all the wealth in America is just in computers. Like there's not nearly as much cash as there is wealth.
But don't you love just that feeling of signing a check, just like pow, baby?
I haven't signed a check in like 8 years, 10 years.
I'm a big checks guy, you know.
I love flashing like a 20. Like the ladies see like, yo,
What I do is
pulling out a hot Jefferson, being like, this is the kind of life you could live if you get with me.
What I do is I flash my check, like that I haven't, like I could write anything on this piece of paper. You know? Huh? What's it going to be, baby?
He kind of numbers. It was a Jurassic Park 3. I write all kinds of numbers on this paper. Why did I remember that random quote?
But I like money because I like voluntary, you know, exchanges between people. Well, sometimes it's involuntary with, you know, taxes and stuff. But
Well,
yeah,
you know, we live in America, so that's what we get, and we have to pay a tax. I mean, I don't understand taxes well as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
But I understand the fact that we get a lot of free just shit being here.
Well,
So
it's
it
the
makes sense.
cliche is it's the price we pay for civilization. You know.
It's true. I mean, can you imagine what they would
Taxes.
pay back, like in Babylon, just to be as safe as we are? Like,
Right.
we have no threat of anyone coming to attack us from
And-
outside lands.
yeah.
That's worth something.
It's pretty great here. It's pretty great here.
My question is, I don't
Yeah.
want to cut off if we get into it.
No, yeah.
Gold.
Yeah.
Why is it? And I've always wanted to look this up. Why is gold? All cultures
Yeah.
separate from each other
Yeah.
have all recognized
Okay,
gold.
let me tell you this shit.
You read it?
I think I know it.
Right here.
Okay, so basically, I think in Rome they started using gold. Trade opened up with like India and the Mid East. They could have just been like, oh, we don't like gold, but because they found it valuable, then it would have evened it out. If like once gold would have been cheap there and they realized someone far away thought it was valuable, then all of a sudden it would have gained value there because everyone would be like, oh, this is a good investment. I'm going to buy the gold. And then very quickly it would have equalized with the value.
Then doesn't
Gold
it,
was around before Rome, though.
Wherever it, I think,
doesn't it not
It was
wear
in, like,
out?
People
too?
people in Babylon back in, like 2000s BC, people in Egypt, people in like China, like people who were
Yeah.
not necessarily communicating with each other, all came across gold without anyone else's influence and recognized its inherent.
I mean, it's shiny.
Value.
It was malleable. It was pretty.
And it doesn't. And it's
I
like
think it's it's malleable.
and it doesn't wear out because we still
Yeah.
have gold stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing was some society, and I forget exactly which one, maybe it was ancient Greece, made it their base currency. And then they started trading and
Maybe the Bronze Age, that little triangle
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
the Hittites and the Greeks,
hit that pussy because it's
Mycenaeans.
tight. It's tight. That's what they call it.
Hittite, Egypt, Babylon. There's a whole like trade network in the Bronze Age. They probably all valued it.
Yeah. So that's basically what it is.
But I heard it was something like, it's like something like everyone recognizes it burns at the right amount of heat. It's perfectly malleable. It's like it doesn't weigh too much.
And it just
You can
looks
turn it into
nice.
shit. Yeah, it looks.
It makes good
amazing.
teeth.
Does it?
Yeah.
I feel like if you bite too hard, though, it'll fucking flatten out.
Yeah, but I mean, people still have gold. Whenever I see someone with gold teeth, I'm like, I don't know.
You look
I feel like
trashy.
I'd rather have a normal tooth. I feel like if I had a gold tooth, I'd be viewed. I'd have a harder time.
Do you got those gold little gold things in the
the
back?
fillings?
Yeah.
But what's the point of that? Because it's like no one can even see it if it's in your molars.
Well, maybe if you're making out with someone, you know.
I just want a stripe of gold along my teeth.
I want gold gums.
Like a gold brace is almost kind of like
Just like it's
just a retainer of gold.
like in engraving. I don't fucking know. But anyway, okay, let's go back. Let's go back to monies and shit. Here we go. Okay, so we had beads then, which is a weird currency because if you put your beads on a string, it's a sex toy and you stick it up your ass, and that's disgusting.
Yeah, and then you take it out. It's like, what's all these hidden charges?
That's why the Babylonians had red beads for pussy, black beads for anal, and then green beads for no shoving it up.
Beads. Didn't we buy Manhattan for beads or something like that? Isn't that
shells.
the myth or whatever.
Yeah, beads and shells. That's like the Dutch. We'll get to the Dutch. But coins, we got
Dutch were
gold.
very financial.
Coins were okay. So first they were giving out nuggets and shit, right? Like just gold bullion. But coins were good because the reason why they started putting people's faces and like the country on there is that was a what's the word? A fucking
Symbol.
yes. No, it was more that too, but also it was just a guarantee that it was a certain weight.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So you can, and if you try to counterfeit it or fill it with something, they're gonna fucking put the military might of that person and fucking smash you down.
You know, I never actually fucking understood. That makes perfect sense now that I hear that.
Yeah.
Who invented the coin? It was the Hittites, I believe.
Nice. And then okay. Oh yeah. Do you guys ever have any weird stories involving money besides you eating it?
Oh, I don't think that's
I once
weird.
I once lost a one time I was at work and the boss, she gave us something special.
Ooh,
she
like-
gave us like $100 bill.
Oh.
She gave everyone $100 bill.
Just cause?
Like kind of a hey, thanks for everything, you know what I mean? And so we all took it, and
She went home and killed herself. Like, what?
no, so I
Seems
got
like
my
it's
I got my
the
list.
beginning
I
of
got
an
this big
awful-
$100 bill just in my wallet,
Yeah.
nice. And then I went to the racetrack and with my dad.
Yeah.
And I was walking out of the racetrack, looked in my shorts, no more wallet. Completely lost my wallet with the $100 bill in it.
You silly bitch.
That's
So
nuts.
so I lost
$100.
I lost my money in the racetrack without even betting on anything, you know.
You couldn't even have the joy of like watching a horse race and then lose.
Yeah. It's
Which
just- you know what it is?
Saratoga?
It was it?
Was it Saratoga, the racetrack, or
No, it was in Albuquerque, my home.
Oh,
Yeah, and
My
you know what it is? It's
home.
these. You gotta make sure if you're gonna get jeans. This is for the listeners too. If you're gonna get like jeans or
This is all
like
for listeners.
or like shorts, make sure they got good pockets because if some of these flimsy ass pockets, your stuff will fall right out of them.
Yeah.
I'd like to return these pants. Something fell out of my pocket.
Also, you owe me a wallet.
And $100.
What's the most amount of money you've ever lost, or like even like on a bet or something?
I mean, I feel like I lost a few $100s in cryptocurrencies, but I actually gained $2,000 randomly once. Someone was smuggling money through my account, like hacked into my account.
What?
And then I called the bank and they froze my account and it froze $2,000 in it.
So you got to use that money?
Yeah, I used it. I had it.
Is it legal? Should we not be?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, someone might slit my throat in the middle of the night, but
Yeah, the Chechnyan mafia who was smuggling the money is
Yeah.
gonna come.
but that was years and years ago. It was
That's pretty sweet.
It was fucking awesome. It was one of the best days of my Jewish
So
life.
you literally woke up and you're like, wait, there's like $2,000 extra
Yeah,
dollars.
yeah.
That's a fucking awesome.
It was so cool. It's like sounds unbelievable, but it really happened.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like this like Jewish like money conspiracy thing where it's like they know you're Jewish, so they're giving you extra money to incentivize?
Because they were definitely laundering money through my account. Like I would see amounts appear and then disappear.
That's so weird. Why would they just randomly? You don't know. Have no idea who it was.
No.
Just randomly picked some account and they
Yeah,
figured probably not the smartest money launderer.
No.
Like
it was great.
at the very least, they should contact you and be like, "Hey, Andrew, just so you know."
Also, one time, I think I was in kindergarten. I was at like day camp or something, and I had like $5 for lunch.
Yeah.
And this girl like took it from me, or like I let her see it, and then she put it in her pussy. And I was like, she's like, "Come get this."
Is this true?
This is damn true. And then I was like, "No, I don't want to. I'm gay."
You said that?
No, but I acted like that, and I told on her. And she gave
Well,
me.
how old were you?
That is not the way to get pussy.
I mean, I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's too old, man.
Yeah,
she was probably molested or something, you know, trying to get you into that trauma and stuff.
She's a child stripper.
Hey, I'm a child.
Hey, well, you know what you probably turned out
Better
to be.
than other sex trafficking.
One time I was at a
Yeah, I guess. I suppose. Compared to, no, they're all bad, but
Yeah.
compared to,
Yeah,
I'd rather be a stripper personally than a prostitute.
yeah.
Actually, that's not a prostitute makes a lot more money, but
Well, depending on how
How
good of
high
a
end.
prostitute, and a lot of strippers are prostitutes too.
I feel like I could pull in a cool $500 for a day.
Andrew, you should sell your
Prostituting.
virginity.
some auction it off. Ooh, let's start the bidding off.
This shit's vintage. It's been
guarantee-
aged in denim.
Buy that.
It's aged in denim.
I think they do that, like in the Middle East or something. I read about, like, or no, some woman sold her virginity. She was like gorgeous,
Yeah,
20-year-old, but very attractive girl.
yeah.
So it went for a pretty high price. I mean, I feel like someone would.
Some MILF would buy it.
Hey, this is
Yeah.
auction. This podcast is brought to you by Andrew Arm's virginity auctioneering situation. Come on, get it, ladies.
Andrew, what are you packing? Packing a fat chode?
Yeah. It's big. It's nice. It's ripe.
It's right. It's definitely ripe.
It's plum.
It's
But I feel
plum
like-
color.
Like if you just advertise, if you like took pictures of your peanut and your naked body,
Yeah.
like, there's people with fetishes everywhere. Someone
Yeah.
would pay money to like see to.
Someone has a fetish for 28-year-olds specifically.
28-year-old. It's not too young. It's not too old. It's just right. Yeah. One time, I was at Cliffs Amusement Park in my hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Cliffs amusement park.
And I dropped it. I dropped a $20 bill on the ground.
Yeah.
And this guy, like this, it was accident. This kid walked by, like, oh, money. And I was like, hey, that's mine. And he said, well, how do I know that? And I was like, oh. And he just walked off with it. Yeah. I was a spineless schmuck even back in those days.
The Cliffs reference really pulled that one together.
Cliffs amusement. I like to do some hometown references, shout outs, you know?
Yeah.
Like Drew Carey for Cleveland, but for Albuquerque, New Mexico, my hometown.
It's a lot of
Is Drew Carey
syllables.
from Cleveland?
What?
Yeah.
Albuquerque has a ton of syllables.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost it's too long of a thing to be really worth, you know?
One time, you guys ever do the thing where they used to do on CKY? We did it. I was like in like middle school. We like put like their turds in like dollars and like leave them on the sidewalk.
And just wrap a turd in $1.
You ever seen that or heard of that? Yeah, people walk by and they're like and like,
That's hilarious.
the CKY one's amazing because the guy picks it up and he puts it in his pocket.
Oh.
Because like they wiped it with turd, so it wasn't like a big turd. You
Oh,
notice?
so disgusting.
It's like a $50 bill. He puts it in his pocket. He's like, ugh, his hands all sticky. He's like, he's like throwing up in the bushes.
You did that, there'd be an extra nickel on there.
It'd be funny if a guy just like got it and like took the turd and then just threw the money away. You know, just free turd, hell yeah.
Throws away a $20 bill. It's like I was looking for a piece of shit.
Okay, back to money. Okay, so money is interesting because there's pre like 1700s, pre like scientific, really the idea that you could grow indefinitely and that you can invest in the future. Like societies were
Yeah, I can
so,
see that.
so unstable that
Inherent wealth wasn't like a thing people thought about.
yeah, there was this book called The Wealth of Nations
Ooh.
in 1776.
Oh, Adam Smith, right?
Adam
Famous
Smith.
book, yes.
And that would basically put the idea down that like there's a trickle down economy, that if someone,
Invisible Hand.
invisible hand, greed is good, all this shit. And
Wealth of Nations. I bought that book. And it's one of those things where you ever buy a book and you're like, you feel like just buying it makes you have the knowledge in the book. And I bought Wealth of Nations and I looked at it and I was like, this is fucking way too long. I'm not about to read this fucking book.
yeah. So yeah, but loans are super important for social mobility. And yeah, without the belief in progress and infinite growth, people are way less likely to give out loans. Like we were talking about Columbus before, I guess in the last podcast, and that was like an investment.
The Spain put in him.
Yeah, Portugal was like, fuck no, we don't know what's gonna happen, and Spain did it, and they paid off like crazy.
Yeah.
It increases the demand, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, if you're able to get loans and stuff, people are like, oh, I can go out and produce, you know. Whereas if they just had to use their own thing, they wouldn't want to do it, you know.
If you guys had an idea that you'd risk taking a loan out for, what would you take a loan out for right now?
Podcast,
The loan out for.
What would you invest in for the podcast?
like
Studio advertising,
better microphones.
naked ladies,
What-
better
I
microphones.
mean, I feel like it would almost have to go towards ads now. I mean, if you're
Ads.
going to,
I feel it.
I would put a loan into you mean like a business idea or like a thing I want to purchase?
Anything.
I could use a car. I would get a loan for a car. No, you know what? I don't like the idea of that because I'm just going to owe the money back.
Right.
Like a business loan, you earn more than you were loaned.
Unless
ideally.
you're doing the road.
That's true. Actually, yeah, maybe probably a car to go on the road.
That makes sense.
A loan.
That's
Maybe some property.
yeah.
Or maybe I would like invest in like special makeup effects.
Yeah,
For people to like look like Frankenstein and like monsters on the movies. I'd invest like in one of those companies, you know.
Go to open mics.
Or you think there's gonna be
dressed as
a big boom and then
Yeah. Like I think
makeup.
and stop motion animation.
That's not a bad idea. You see more and more of that every year, I feel like.
Do you? No, you don't.
I don't know.
Like some Ray Harryhausen kind of stuff, you know?
Nope.
And like
And then a person.
Ray Harryhausen, you know. Raisinette Man.
or what's a good
He's an animator, Ray Harryhausen?
well, he was, but he's not anymore. I would invest in
Like Walt Disney.
I would yeah.
Is that a good reference? Or is that like a comparable to Ray Harryhausen?
Well, like you ever see like oh god, what was it, like Cyclops or those old movies? I don't know if he did Jason and the
like Hercules or the Seven.
Yeah.
King Kong and those like
He didn't do those ones.
Sinbad.
Sinbad. Yeah, I think he did that. Yeah.
Sinbad. No, I don't think I've seen it.
You see the monsters all clay and shit. Anyway, back to this economy shit.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because you said that Columbus thing where they're loaning the money. Apparently, this is a funny thing about money, too. Spain paid for them to go to like take over that part. So that's why, like, if you think about like Latin America, it's all Spain. There were colonies of Spain.
Yeah.
And then the North America was like England and France. But the way it worked was like there was not as much shit in England in North America. Like obviously there was a big like the disease killed off a lot of the Indians, and there wasn't like the big empires that there were Aztecs, at least not when we got there. So like all the gold that they got from Spain went directly to the king and queen of Spain. It wasn't distributed to the country.
Right.
So that's why you think like with those colonies they become the next Britain, but they didn't, because the money was owned by the king and queen. Whereas the way Britain worked is like the Britain, like they colonized America and they created colonies all over. It was all kind of like the Dutch did eventually, which we'll get to, I'm sure. Like
Indonesia and shit.
It's like the way the money is distributed works, and then Spain actually influxed so much gold into the market that it fucked them over.
That's what I was going to talk about for a second. The Dutch, Spain versus the Dutch in terms of investments and where to make investments. Like people were like the Netherlands blew up because Spain was so corrupt. Yeah. And like I guess they were a colony kind of Spain for a minute, and then they revolted, and then they established this like really just legal system where everyone was accountable, and people like couldn't count on Spain because they would just take the money and fucking run and never pay you back if you lost an investment or something. But Dutch would be accountable, so everyone started investing all this money in the Dutch, and they took out loans, and then the Dutch made a fleet, and they went to Indonesia and shit. And basically for a while, the Dutch East India Company, I think.
Dutch East India Trading Company,
yeah. They owned Indonesia. Like they took over it. It wasn't the state that took over Indonesia. It was, for a while, it was just this company that owned Indonesia. And actually that was the same in India.
Was that
for
what
a
it was?
while.
It was the company had it, not the actual country.
Yeah. So that was like a corporate state, which was pretty fucking crazy.
The Dutch kind of almost like that company, not that I know a lot about it, but I know the influence of it was like they kind of like almost showed everyone else how to do it, like that trading in Indonesia, the Dutch East India Trading Company. Like they own that whole part of the world for like a century. Too. Yep.
Yeah. And
Dutch are smart people.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And I feel like every Dutch woman I meet is into me.
actually from Netherlands, like?
Yeah. Like literally, I mean,
I've never met anyone from Dutch.
I'm 3 for 3. And I think it's because I have no social skills, and Dutch women are super assertive. So they're just like, I can like tell what they're doing. I can understand.
They're very like purposeful with what they say. Like it's very easy to read.
Yeah. So I like know where I stand. I don't know. But that's neither here nor there.
Dutch chicks support the podcast. We should get sponsored by Dutch women. Yeah. Just have like Dutch women.
I don't know.
Call in. We'll only take calls from Dutch ladies.
Let's just go on tour in the Netherlands.
I would do that.
Get laid.
Someone would pay for our tour. I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Amsterdam's in the Netherlands, if I'm not correct.
Here's another thing. Capitalism relies on the profits of production to be reinvested in production.
Yes.
So it's like you get put right back in the machine. So
Yeah.
make more money. You make
Yeah.
your money. Make your money. Make money for you.
Yeah.
That in terms makes more money
Yes.
for you, which then makes more money.
You got to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
Is what they say.
Yeah.
You have to spend money to make money.
But a lot of people spend money and then they make no money, and then their wife leaves them, and then they turn their car on. And they're, well, you know, sometimes things don't work out a lot of times, and it's that's why I personally tend to not get too involved with money because I'm not smart with it.
Yeah.
So my ideal of situation is I make a lot of money, someone else handles it for me, is very nice and decides not to screw me because I know nothing, and then everything works out, and I don't have to even see checks ever.
Yeah, you probably.
Well,
don't
I
wanna
feel like you-
broadcast that.
I feel like
Anyone
you
looking
can
to
be
take
like.
advantage of me. I have no money. But one day I might.
I feel like you can be a little bit dumb, but if you know nothing, that's not good. You know, you can't be investing if you know nothing. You know.
Yeah.
I know if you have to endorse a check, you have to sign the back of the check.
Oh, here's the thing. Here's
That's
the,
for the listeners.
Do you ever, what's the big?
wait. No, wait. Hold on. Jesus fucking Christ. Here's the thing that happened. England. Andrew's snuggling up to me because I yelled. This is what we call an abusive
I
relationship.
was gonna say that's like Stockholm syndrome, like your abuser.
Yeah, but England. Wait, what was it? Well, there was some fucking war. Oh no, the Greek people were fighting the Ottoman Emperor, and they were losing. And England was like, they were into like this classicism and romantic stuff, and all the poets were like, "Yeah, man, we got to support the Greeks because we like all these tales and myths and shit." And so it became very trendy to buy these Greek war bonds, and then the Greek were getting their ass kicked. So then the British government was like, "All right, well, let's just go kill the fucking Ottoman Empire."
So a war bond is where you put money towards their war efforts,
Yeah,
and if they win, you get the money back. Is that essentially?
yeah. Then the Greeks owe you money, I guess.
Yeah.
So they were financially incentivized to make the Greeks win. So they just went down there and just were like, "Yeah, we're just gonna kill the Ottomans because we want a return on investment."
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. So if the Greeks don't win, then they don't see any of that money back. So the Greeks were like, that must have been really beneficial for them.
Except for they couldn't pay them back, so they were basically
I forgot about that part.
indebted. But that's basically like
It's a lot of wars are like
it's
that.
almost like military insider trading.
Well, then back in like Roman times, I know they would certainly the Carthaginians, which were Rome's biggest in the Punic Wars, the biggest enemy of Rome before it was a republic, before Caesar. Like the Punic Wars were the big one. Northern Africa, like Tunisia in modern day. Carthage was just big empire in the sea, and they didn't have an army. They just literally they made so much money off trade. They just paid Gauls and like Celts and Iberians from Spain and like Numidians, like people like in sub-Saharan Africa, like they paid for all their entire army and they conquered
the Dutch
everything.
did that too.
Yeah.
They had an entire army with the India and Indonesians fighting to
Napoleon would. I mean, they've done that for mercenaries and stuff like that. That's a practice as old as time.
Yeah, but I want to talk more about investing and free market versus legislating and like keeping the market in check. Like, okay, so like the French, they took over like New Orleans and that whole area.
Yeah.
There was a whole what's the fucking word when you fucking what's the word where you fucking
Cunt.
not conjecture.
Conglomerate.
No, where you like bet or wager on something.
Consolidate.
Nope, that's not. Nope.
Just throwing out financial terms.
They bet on.
They use it for the housing market. I don't fucking know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so you're betting on something working out or not.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
if it does, you make the money back. If it doesn't,
Yeah, so the French government was talking up how like the New Orleans was great, and this was when it was just a fucking swamp. So all these aristocrats were going there, and they're like, "This thing sucks," and then people were losing all this. Like it rose crazy high like Bitcoin, and then it fucking plummeted. But the government was throwing in all this money, and then they had like a huge bubble, and that kind of lost the French the war against England for global supremacy. Because they had this
betting on that New Orleans territory.
Yeah,
I mean, it did essentially work out. I mean, New Orleans was became a big city in its time, right?
After a long time.
But during that time period, it was.
But just,
not
I
working
think
out.
just because they made themselves untrustworthy by like trying to blow up this market and
Yeah.
make money off of it, and no one wanted to invest with them because it was just like unchecked. And that kind of happened with the housing bubble here.
That's what people like The Big Short. They were betting on that the bubble was going to pop, and then
Yeah.
so basically when it fell, a lot of people made tons of money because that. I mean, that what I understand of that was like people were just taking out loans they could never pay back.
Well, they were purposely giving them the loans because they knew they were going to make money if they failed. So they were betting against themselves getting paid back.
Oh, so the people who were giving out the loans were also betting on the side,
Or at
that
least
it
their
would
bosses
fail.
were.
Well, what I read about the housing market was that there was this policy where it's like you try to make housing more available to people, low income people. So in order to do that, the companies had to change their standards, so they had to do riskier things, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They
So
turned
then,
loans to less-
so then they
yeah.
all of a sudden these loans they can't be paid back, and it just
We're not talking about housing. We're talking about buying nice houses.
Yeah.
That's what they gave them loans for. It's to buy fucking like property with a
those
big house.
yeah.
Florida
But then if you
mansions.
lower those standards,
Yeah, but you don't
then
have
they don't if you give them loans and they can't pay them back, that's bad.
So essentially, the people who were in the business of giving out those loans knew the loans were a bad investment, so they also, with that knowledge, bet on against it. And
They hedged
off
their
to the
bet,
sides.
basically. Yeah. All right. Here's a crazy thing. Also from that Yuval Noah Harari book.
Ooh, I know that. I read this book.
You did?
King Leopold, yeah.
So in 1876, King Leopold II of Belgium set up a non-governmental humanitarian organization with the declared aim of exploring Central Africa and fighting the slave trade along the Congo River. It was also charged with improving conditions for the inhabitants, building schools and all this shit. In 1885, the European powers agreed to give this organization 2.3 million square kilometers in the Congo Basin, and it was like 75 size.
Yeah, way bigger than Belgium.
Yeah.
The Ghosts of Leopold, I think it's called, is the book.
Okay.
They talk about it, and he would go. Because the same thing you were just talking about, the Dutch East Indian Trading Company owned Indonesia. King Leopold owned Congo. Belgium didn't. He personally owned it.
Yeah, and they just started fucking lopping people's arms off and
Oh, yeah, they just
genociding
made money off the rubber.
buildings to make yeah, exactly.
What they would
I
do
hate
is they
that
would
that
go
big
into-
genocide, that big building genocide.
Building genocide? You
know.
mean, I mean 9/11?
Gentrification or
What?
9/11?
building genocide.
Big building genocide.
Yeah.
They're trying to kill all the big buildings.
But they said they would go, the Dutch, not the Dutch, the Belgian guys would go in and they would hire tons of British mercenaries, French mercenaries, people who would do this for them. Because it was impossible. Like, it was thick rainforest. The Congo was unexplorable.
Yeah.
So it was a whole process of getting, people were dying of disease left and right. But they would go in and they'd go into like a village and the men would like run away. Like they'd escape because they'd come in with guns. So they would just kidnap all the kids and wives and be like, and just hold them like, and just wait for the men to come back. And they'd be like, well, we'll give you your wife and kids back if you get us like impossible amounts of rubber trees a day. And it was just, and this, as soon as they couldn't do that, they just start.
So they killed 6 million people. Or it was basically a fucking Holocaust.
Well, they killed, part of it was disease they got, part of it was just starvation, but they killed a ton of it in their own right. And the way that they collected rubber, this is kind of away from money, but I always thought this was like a terrifying and interesting thing, is the rubber, like you cut the rubber trees, you'd have to like let it dry.
Yeah.
So they would put the rubber on their bodies, like the people who were collecting it, and they'd let it, the sun would dry it off because it was thinner against their skin. Like that's how they would collect the actual strips of rubber. Like they would make the people do that, like cut the trees down. Like the way they did it was like, it was insane. They were essentially slaves. It was slaves in the Congo.
Speaking
But
of
he made
slaves,
tons and tons of money.
that was another thing where it was just like unchecked growth and profiteering. Like slavery initially wasn't necessarily a racist thing. It was more just like a way to make money because they were the sugar plantations and it was so expensive that they just needed a way to harvest that, and no one wanted to do that money for.
It's awful work too.
Yeah, you needed a lot of money if you wanted to do that willingly, and they didn't want to pay that shit. So they're like, all right, slaves.
Yeah. That was in the Caribbean. And then Brazil. Brazil, apparently, I read, was like the most vicious, awful forms of slavery in the whole like Western, like Brazil. Like those slaves the Portuguese brought over were like they were treated. I mean, all slaves were treated poorly during that time, but Brazil was particularly horrific. Like people don't talk about that a lot. But a lot of the black people in Brazil today, like our ancestors of the slaves brought over then, and that was like a whole. That was most of the slaves I think actually went to Brazil, and like if you think about it being like an American kind of like maybe a Jamaica like that area, but I think the majority of them actually went to Brazil. If I'm not correct, like that was.
Yeah, there's still kind of a weird. Well, not that we can talk as Americans, but there's like a weird divide between dark skinned people and light skinned people. But they also, I don't know. I'm not.
But like I heard that like in like Brazil, the racism didn't develop as much.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't this idea that was in America that all men are created equal. So people, in order to justify slavery, they were like, well, these men, aren't equal. It became, you know what I mean?
No.
That's what I heard.
That'd be more racist. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, it was
they're
like,
not men, they're animals.
well, it's like in order to like because there was
there's no racism in Brazil because they didn't treat everyone equally.
Well, it was like because like we had this thing where it's like we're just like there's this in America it was like it's like all men are created equal, you know. So people thought, well, if we're gonna have slaves, we can't be considering these people men. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So they set off a separate.
So it's like, see, yeah. So whereas in Brazil, it wasn't a democratic sort of situation.
I get it.
Okay, here's the thing. Universal rights came with. It started in the French Revolution.
Yes.
Right, where they conscripted every man, woman, child, old people to do anything they could possibly do. So they're like, okay, well, in exchange for using you and your entire livelihood,
you have all the rights given to everyone else. So it was very
So in that sense, basically, human rights are only given to those who are deemed useful by society or the whatever. The corporation, like Woodrow Wilson gave women the right to vote after they were like, they were nurses in World War I, that kind of.
So once like them stopping doing what they're doing would be very detrimental. Like then it's like, all right, we better get them rights because we need them now. So if they want to walk away, we'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it terrified the monarchies, French Revolution, because like they were England, all those other countries, the Holy Roman Empire, like Spain, they were all. Russia was all like still king, queen, serfs. Like it was all kind of that kind of shit. Not to Russia definitely, but like still like it was all like monarchy based like levels. Like French Revolution was like, fuck that shit. We're all people like that terrified every other country when it happened. That's why it was such a big deal. Like it was like the way we view communism, or the way we viewed communism in the 50s, like was spreading the idea of it was like that's how they viewed the universal rights that came out of the French Revolution. Like if it got into England and people started hearing about it, like they'd riot, and then it was a very scary time for them.
Speaking of scary times, what happens when humans in general, like the vast majority of us, are not valuable enough to earn our rights?
When robots take over and no one's needed anymore?
Or they're just useful. They're just more useful than us.
I never thought about that actually. People are getting less and less useful.
So maybe not all countries will rescind rights, but some countries will definitely do that if it's costing them money.
I could even see some countries like halting certain like technologies to keep people useful. Like I could see like if the people had any say in it.
That seems like an EU thing to do.
Because there's already a lot of businesses that people are like losing their jobs over. And if your skills are not worth the money a company's going to pay you, they're always going to go with, like that's the thing. Like businesses and like companies, like that's capitalism. It's all money. Like people get pissed at like corporations, but it's not like there's not a person. It's a unit. Mm-hmm. It's like it's going to lose people who are not
but
useful.
it's based around. Production, and the consumer, and giving the consumer what they want at the lowest rate, lowest price possible,
Yeah, that's what they said, almost like spurned on slavery in the 1800s.
But it's weird because like slavery, it's like you talk about a free market. It's based on involuntary transactions between people, but slavery is involuntary.
Well, they said
so. It's people's labor is being stolen. You know what I mean?
The way slavery was in the 1800s was like in the early 1800s, they say like slavery was actually declining in usefulness, like because it was tobacco was like the plantations, and you didn't really need slaves to do that as much. So, like slavery actually dropped a lot, and then because cotton was like a thing, you pick cotton, I guess you pick it off the leaves, but it takes forever to get the seeds out and forever, so it wasn't useful. But when they invented the cotton gin, which picks the seeds out like immediately, then like they all of a sudden had a big need for like slavery to pick the cotton, and that like that production like boomed it. That's why it grew so much.
This is kind of I want to go deep for a second. So like right now machines are becoming more and more intelligent, right? The algorithms are being more and more accurate and useful. Like trading stocks and that kind of shit, or even diagnosing illnesses or whatever, playing chess. But we're still pretty far away from conscious machines. So
Are we?
yeah, I mean, at least as far as we can tell,
Okay.
because we're not really working on developing emotions or self-awareness.
Yeah, because it's not really needed at this point.
So in that,
I don't like my emotions or self-awareness at all.
you don't like it?
You can trade it with a robot.
I wish I was a machine.
Maybe you are.
Yeah, maybe you are, dude.
Okay.
Maybe you have had sex every time you plug in your phone.
He just comes every time he charges his phone. With his headphones on.
Yeah, baby.
100. But so check this out though. Computers, unless we value consciousness, computers are just going to surpass humans completely.
Yeah.
But right now we're just valuing intelligence. But maybe conscious, like I feel like there's all these abstract ways to put monetary values on things. Like, you know how people try to put value on the environment?
What do you mean? Like the land or?
Yeah, they're like, oh, if we fucking continue to destroy the water, it's going to cost us this.
Yeah.
I mean, which is true, but requires some kind of like.
Well, they're putting those carbon taxes on company or nations, or like a certain amount of carbon in the air you have to pay.
Yeah.
X amount.
I guess my question and what I was thinking about is like, maybe consciousness is valuable because it allows us to
Create machines.
No, to measure alternative paths, you know, like to go about our business in one direction while creating a simulation in another direction, and then feeling that our emotions are summation of that.
I see what you mean.
Second simulation.
So we're able to like do something, but think about something else, and almost thinking about something gives us an emotion, considering what would happen if we did a certain thing.
Like if you're like murdering your family and then you're sad, you're like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't be murdering my family.
Or you say a robot wouldn't do it. Robot would just consider
It would just
the benefits
keep murdering
of it.
and be like, I'm doing well efficiently.
Isn't that what's that movie? The one with the robot trying to discover conscious Ex Machina.
Oh, Ex Machina. Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that was great. I need to rewatch that shit.
That's kind of it begs the question of like, how do you really know when a robot has consciousness?
Yeah.
In the movie, they say like, okay, well, this guy.
I think they give you a certain look, you know.
He said that
it's just like,
was it consciousness or emotion? He was trying to give this robot something that made it more human, and it was like, if this dude can have a conversation with them and not notice they're a robot over the course of a few days.
That's the Turing test. That was
Turing, yeah.
invented by Alan Turing in the 50s.
Is that the same concept, or is that more?
Yeah, it's exactly that. If you can have a conversation with a robot without realizing, and I think occasionally robots have already passed that Turing test, but that seems like almost like an arbitrary thing. Like I think.
But are you saying that we almost would want to instill consciousness in robots so they don't just go about their work efficiently if it kills humans or is.
Yeah, I think there's no way for robots to self-correct without consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would happen without our trying to give them consciousness. Like we might accidentally give them consciousness, but I almost think it might behoove us to give them consciousness and emotions.
Wasn't that heard that the the fear someone once I heard explained as is that if robots get too smart or computers get too smart, they can get to the point where they can create computers that are smarter than them, and those computers can create. And it's like a cycle of like that's what.
Yeah, but
If it gets too out of hand,
I feel like it's not a question whether they're going to be more intelligent than us. I feel like they're already more intelligent. They're already faster at calculations and can do more complex calculations. The question is whether they can understand those calculations in a greater context and like balance them against different perspectives and like, you know.
Can I say I have no idea how any electricity at all works, and it fascinates me. Like I'm thinking about the concept of like the idea of even how a calculator computes, and I have no clue how any. It fascinates the hell out of me.
I think like there's like a big board or something, or like where it's like it's like the. I don't know,
a big board of gnomes pushing, doing little mini calculations.
It's a surfboard, combining them. And just surfing on electric.
That's if you open a computer, it's just little gnomes surfing on little electric waves.
I wish that were true. You don't know how much I wish that were true.
Just open up the keyboards, little.
Get that new gnome surfboard and you're fucking
riding lightning waves.
Anyway, that's all I got. But okay, so let's consider though this situation though that might actually happen in the near future, where the vast majority of the population is useless, and maybe like an elite group of people maintain the computers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but how would those people even maintain control? I mean, they'd have to have like fail safes and.
I just think the demand. I think the demand for more computer jobs would have. Like people there would be more of a demand for knowing about computers.
But if the machines are intelligent enough to do those jobs,
I guess the question is, if we do become useless, what do we become slaves essentially, or is it just they disregard us? I'm not even worried about computers doing it. I'm worried about like people in charge of countries and businesses who are like, we don't need any people to work here anymore. Yeah. So then what happens? You know what I mean?
Well, I think like what's gonna happen is robots are gonna take over everything, and then some hippie is going to be like, these robots are oppressing us, and he's going to be the leader, and he's going to have to design new robots. So we're going to have to, so it's going to be like some people are going to designing, there's going to be the big robotic companies that are trying to destroy the good guys, and the good guys are going to have to make their own robots. You know what I mean?
No,
so it's going to be
stupid. Stop.
You don't think that's okay?
I feel like at that point the robots would just kill us pretty easily. Yeah. I don't see much of a resistance happening.
That's pretty far ahead. Well, I was reading one interesting book.
A man can dream
about how the only future way to sustain the middle class is by getting companies to pay us for our data. So right now, like Facebook and Google, they're profiting off of our data. We should be recompensed for that. Since
I'm letting Pornhub know what people are looking for, so I should be compensated for that.
Yeah, you're a consultant.
Exactly.
An unwilling consultant we're basically data slaves. You're stealing our choices.
That does bother. It bothers the shit out of me. No, actually it doesn't. I'm not as bothered by it. I just want
to make money for doing what I'm doing anyway. That's what.
No, but it does. It annoys me sometimes. Like I'll search something once, and then everyone says this. Like, and you go on Facebook and you see an ad for it. I'm like, the fuck? Like, you just know that no one. I don't think anyone's like specifically looking at me in a camera. Yeah. Because for that to happen, people are like worried someone's watching them, and it's like, dude, you're not that interesting. The government, if that's true, the government can be watching anybody. Yeah. They're not watching me.
Let's pretend we're three guys at work at the fucking data processing plant.
Just watching people's laptop cameras.
No, like in the far future where there's almost no jobs. We got our fucking advanced degree in fucking computer engineering or whatever, and we're just chilling. We're at lunch. Like,
how's everybody doing?
Well, fine. We're just man. I just like dusted this fucking keyboard today like 8 times, but
What is this? Is this we're doing the scenario? Or is this a bit? I can't.
Yes, and we are doing.
What was the Indian accent? I thought that threw me.
I'm trying to do a character,
You sound like that white guy who played the Indian guy in that TV show in the 80s that was like super racist.
That's how Sector 8's going.
Sector 8's good. It's not as good as Sector 5, where I used to live. But, you know, the robot turtles took over that whole neighborhood. So
Yeah, those robot turtles are feisty, though. They got them nasty robot pussies that still make me want to fuck them.
you're going to catch that robot chlamydia if you keep fucking those turtles, man. I'm telling you, they're gonna catch up with you. But I'm more worried about my neighbors who were killed by the robots last night because their job isn't useful anymore. What about you guys? You know anybody who's died because the robots?
I don't know. Ever since the robots took over, it's just not the same. All you see on TV is battle bots.
So in this scenario, is the Indian
Stop taking
accent-
us out of the scenario, Josh. You fucking horrible improviser.
I don't know if I don't do improv. I don't know what's going on. Every time it has an accent, it throws me.
I got the accent too. Did I throw you too?
So I live in India.
All world is
No, I'm
In
from
this
India.
world, white guys go to India to get jobs.
In this world, there is no India. It's all just imaginary grid borders created by robots and androids.
Why are you Jamaican now?
It's a new accent that has formed where the Indians moved to Jamaica. So now the accent is like Jamaica Indian a little bit.
Central
Yeah,
Indian.
man.
They're West Indian.
The Central Indians.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of East
Central
India, a
India.
little bit of West
Mix
India,
between the
mid India.
The West Indies is a thing.
Yeah, I know.
That's Jamaica.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying center is both. You can mix the two accents.
So in the future, we create a big island in the middle of the Atlantic,
Garbage Island.
Plastic Island,
Yeah,
where all
man.
the trash goes.
I once wrote a song called Garbage Island. It was like an epic about
It was about a big pile of trash in the
just
ocean.
colonizing it.
Do you ever just fantasize about like being part of this industrial '80s wasteland? You know, where it's like Super Mario or Brothers the movie, or like you know in the '80s with all those movies that were in the future with the guys with the big shoulder plates and stuff.
Yeah.
Like kind of like Power Rangers kind of stuff.
Whatchamacall that movie? It's
Road
always
Warrior or
escaping me.
something. I don't know. I never saw
Road
it.
Warrior is a good movie.
Or these half reptiles, half like
You're
just explaining Super Mario Bros. The movie.
You ever wish you were in Super Mario Brothers the movie?
Big guys with tiny heads and
Are you just saying
there's
this?
hoppers in it.
But there was kind of a genre of like reptilian
He
like
is on topic because there were coins in Mario. So.
That's money. He never actually did any plumbing, but they paid him for something.
All right. Well,
but yeah,
might as well end here.
we did. All right.
We started on money,
Got
for
into
5
robots.
minutes, and then it became a robot.
I do want to do a whole podcast with fucking robot and the history of computing. That would be an interesting one.
History of robots. What about Bitcoin? Where does that? It's almost like robot
Yeah.
money. It's almost a mixture.
Ethereum is actually you can run software on the money.
What's that? Ethereum?
It's a type of cryptocurrency.
So you can.
I don't
That's
understand
so far
exactly how
beyond
that. Yeah,
my brain
but you
processing.
can have like a Tamagotchi that runs on your money.
But you know what's good though is robots will never be comedians, so we have pretty good job security.
I don't know, man. They've written poems. They've written songs.
You ever go online? It's
they
like
can never get on stage. I'm not gonna go to a club and watch a fucking robot.
no,
Iron
you
Head.
will. You'll be like, look what this robot is doing.
What do you think?
You'll
what do you think
laugh
the
at
slurs are
him.
gonna
You
be
know.
in the future.
I'd have a robot duo act where I just make fun of the robot.
It's like a robot on like a wheel is like,
You fucking corny.
look at this guy.
What is he? A microwave or something?
Especially
guys been
me
dating?
and Andrew's comedy.
What?
It's basically me and Andrew's comedy.
Yeah.
But the humor is seeing a human do robotic movements and
No,
like,
people will. People go there to laugh. Like, you ever go online? It's like robot creates a Harry Potter page or something, or robot makes a script.
Let's look that up. Robot creates a Harry Potter.
It's really funny.
like writes a movie script.
Yeah.
Yes,
So you'll be
okay.
like robot does comedy. We're just gonna be laughing at what they end up coming up with for stand up.
So will that become humor? Just how ridiculous?
Yes, that's my theory.
Or writes a new Harry Potter chapter.
And it's delightfully
It's so funny.
hilarious.
I don't know if we can say anything about it.
I always say whatever the fuck we want. No one listen.
So funny.
Magic. It was something Harry Potter thought was very good. Ron was going to be spiders. He just was. That's pretty good.
You have to read the whole thing though. It's like a
Ron's shirt was just as bad as Ron himself.
Ron was standing there and doing a kind of frenzied tap dance. He saw Harry and immediately began to eat Hermione's family. Jeez, these are the people we're gonna leave in charge of our economy.
Yeah, see, that's what they would do. They would eat Hermione's, especially if there were wizards and witches. They'd be like, get rid of them, which we should do. If there are wizards or witches, we should probably.
I want to be one of them.
We should kill them, dude.
I want to be one.
But then you you know how you have to. So you're saying the robots are going to be the witches?
No, I'm saying if there were wizards or witches in real life, the robots would deem them too dangerous.
They'd be harmless, though.
No, they
Robots
wouldn't.
versus robots.
The
robots
witches-
versus witches. That'd be a good fucking.
Part of me feels like the robots would win, but part of me also feels like if there's a powerful enough, they never describe how powerful the wizards are.
I mean, in what world?
If we're going off of Harry Potter,
About Doctor Strange, fucking.
is he
magic.
technically a wizard? Or
Yeah.
who's more powerful, Gandalf or like Dumbledore or Harry Potter wizards?
I want to say Gandalf.
Gandalf.
I feel like Harry Potter is so corny to me, just because it's like ooh, little kid wizards, you know. It's silly. It's like Saved by the Bell, but wizards. It's for
Saved by the spell.
yeah.
Saved by the spell.
All right, on that fucking stupid joke, we're gonna leave you guys.
All right.
All right.
Bye bye.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Get home safe.